Well, hello, good people. Today I wanted to share with you some creative techniques from the members of our Discord community. So to start off, the first tip comes from yours truly. This is a blending technique that I've been doing for quite some time. The first step is to create some sort of abstract art or something colorful, perhaps a pattern. In terms of settings, it's really up to you. I'm going to use Playground V1 for this, and my dimensions are 576 by 576. For the prompt, I'm just going to put something very simple, and that is abstract art, colorful gradients, vivid colors. I'm going to generate 4 images so that we have a few selections. I really like all of these. I'm going to choose the first one, go up to Actions, use Image to Image. On the left here, you're going to see this is now going to be our reference image. The next step is to enter the prompt of your subject. In this case, I'm going to use a character. It's not limited to people and characters, but this works very well for it. I'm going to adjust my settings a little bit so that I can get a portrait ratio. So 512 by 768. Prompt guidance at 7, quality and details at 50, and I'm using DDIM for my sampler. And then lastly, we want to bring the image strength, I don't know, let's say 20. 20 is usually a good starting point. We're going to generate the images and see what we come up with. Here's a couple results where you can clearly see the reference image is influencing the outcome of the generated image. This one, not so much. At this point, I can re-roll it or maybe increase the strength just a little bit more. Let's try 25. Now with the image strength at 25, it's got more of an abstract feel to it. So the one thing I want you to be aware of, the image strength is very sensitive depending on your reference image. I like how this turned out, but it's a little too much. So I'm going to bring the strength back down to, let's say 23, generate some more images, and let's try to find a balance between the two. In the meantime, this is one of the other generated images, very abstract looking. This one it didn't really pick up, but we see the influence of the reference image here. The other thing we can do to make this a bit more abstract is to use other filters. First, we're going to change our model to Stable Diffusion 1.5 so we can use all the filters here on the side. I'm going to import this to Image to Image. There we go. We see it at the bottom. I'll leave it at 30 for now. I'm going to use the storybook filter. As we look at the results here, you see that if I open this up, it starts to give it more of a painted look. We're not exactly there yet, but we're very close. So there's a couple things we can do. First, I would actually bring the quality and details down to about 30. Actually, instead of 30, I'm going to bring this down to 15. I'm going to over exaggerate it just so we can get that painted look. Out of all the generations here, I'm kind of going for this type of look, maybe even this one. Let's open it up and see. So it's got more of a soft look, not exactly a painted style yet. This one looks more artistic. So I would continue to work with this until I got it right, but this is definitely a technique that's so fun to try out. Moving right along to tip number 2, brought to you by Polychromes and Nardasil. I hope I'm saying that right. We're going to start off with the Play-Doh filter, so let's select Play-Doh. I have a prompt here for a cute and adorable chipmunk, and we're going to go ahead and generate 4 images. Let's take a look at the generations. So I kind of like where this is headed. This one looks fun too. Let's bring this one into Image to Image. We'll leave the image strength at 30 for now, but now we're going to switch from Play-Doh to, let's try Playtoon so that we get more of a Pixar style. And what we're doing here, again, is really just giving your image some structure. Sometimes using Play-Doh will give you a better composition. As we look at the images here, you see that they look very much like this reference image, but now in more detail. So here we go. I quite like this. It's kind of funny looking because you could see a little bit of the ear just under the hat there. We could play around with the image strength. Let's try 25 and see if we can get it to look more like a chipmunk and less like a human. Here we go. This one's looking good. The second example I want to show you is straight from the Discord server, and this is Nardasil's example of using origami to first create your structure. In these images here, he's using it for furniture. The idea here is now that you have a structure with origami, you want to use a filter like delicate detail to finish off the furniture. As we look at the finished result here, you see that it's got some really nice patterns. It's a very creative way to create furniture, even houses, things with structure. On to the next tip, which comes from Barlos. And basically what he does is use different types of materials. In this first example, he's used carved fried egg for this, and yeah, it's given it a different type of texture. This next example, we see he's used detailed clear brown glass for this octopus. I personally like to use crystal glass for statues and things like that. Works really well. And here we have double stitched to give you this type of result. Very interesting. Next up, we have limitless enlightenment, and this is a really interesting technique as well in regards to doing food. And really all it is that you're putting in the recipe into the prompt. So I'm going to try that myself here. I'm going to enter the recipe into the prompt here. This is a recipe for steaks. I don't know what's going to come out of this. I've never done this before myself, but it'd be super interesting to see what turns out here. Oh wow, here we go. Looks like medium rare, just the way I like my steaks. Interesting. And they look very photorealistic. Let's open this guy up. Wow. Really good. Now I could fix the prompt here. I just basically copied and pasted it and gave it some structure. We could definitely make this look a lot better, but considering I just copy and pasted this looks pretty amazing. So I fixed up the prompt and we see the results here. This is making me super hungry right now. So if you're into making food images, putting the recipe seems to work really well. Now, hopefully you found these tips helpful and that it'll pique some creativity for you to try. If you have any tips, let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, make sure to head over to our Discord server and share some of your work with us. Until the next video, my friends, this is Playground AI.